Is it 6?
Nope, 3 minutes
Not
left.
yet.
Any other day it would take 10 minutes.
Well, do I have to give an appointment for Monday, or can I do it under the beginning?
Under department head,
All right.
you have a busy night.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll be early.
Actually, your budget meeting's on Monday night.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Fire and library's doing budgets Monday night.
Mm.
Let's see. Okay, at 6 o'clock, we'll call the Weare Board of Fire Awards, November 14th, 2022 meeting to order at 6 p.m. First item of business is correspondence.
I don't have anything other than some quotes that probably aren't even gonna go with this year.
Okay. Then we have old business we move to. I wrote down a couple of things. The last couple of meetings, we had talked about shift coverage policy. Do we have anything on that?
I do. So I had volunteered to take a stab at writing up a policy. I've spoken to a few people on the fire department to get some input and ideas and discussion. So I have a draft written up that I've put together based on those conversations that I can pass out. I know that obviously this is something that would need to be reviewed, and I'd spoken to the chief too, and he said that he was amenable if I put something together to take a look at it and possibly put it forward. So this is what I have currently. I think I have enough. If I don't, I'll get another one. I know what it says. Thank you. The idea behind it is that when there are shifts available, that because of vacancies, whether it's time off, injury, whatever reason, sickness, that, and this is a request by a fire department member, that the first opportunity for filling that shift would go to one of the current full-time members. if nobody chose to take that shift, that it would be made available to other qualified employees of the fire department, which I know is a pretty limited group right now, but the idea behind this policy is that this is going forward, 5, 10, umpteen number of years, when you might have a much more robust additional staffing out there that would be able to take some of the open shifts. I did put some provisions in there so that the chief would have the ability to have the last decision as to whether he would approve or disapprove a request for the shift. If it was left to his discretion to split a 24-hour shift if he wanted to, so he could make it available for a day shift and an evening shift to make that more accessible for people to take, or maybe more, if you had to mandate at least some overtime, it was only maybe for the day part of the shift, and that person could then be taken off and somebody else could fill in the evening. So I tried to cover some of the different areas. I did take some of the information from some of the, like the SWAT policy that says that if a paramedic position is being vacated for whatever reason, that it could be filled by an A level in order to keep the truck at the advanced level. So anyway, this is sort of my first toss it out there. We can discuss it, or if you don't want to be put on the spot, we can take a look at it and see if anybody finds anything really glaringly bad. Again, my thought process was to maybe be able to cut back on some of the overtime. I think we owe it to our town members and our taxpayers to do our best to be responsible, fiscally responsible, and if we could cut back on some of the overtime, that would be great. And again, I know it's not an immediate fix because there's not a huge pool, but if maybe our call force was expanded and people were able to see a future in being more than just the third person to shoot out to a call during a call, or additional opportunities rather than just having to wait until there's a second call for somebody to be able to go out. I just thought it would be beneficial for everybody. So that's where I stand on that. Anybody wants to talk about it?
I mean, my thing is just coming from me. I think that they also need to be at least Fire 1 certified. Because if a building fire comes in, it's a rare occurrence, I know, but it's also one of the deadliest ones that the department goes to. So I think that they at least need to have the Fire 1 basics, in my opinion, to cover the shifts, because
In all honesty, typically you wouldn't be covering two people, right? There wouldn't be two people out
Yep.
on vacation, so whoever is there as a full-time staff member would be fire certified, at least through one, maybe two. And at any building fire, an ambulance has to be there. So
we can,
you would go to and you know what, with any structure fire, the first thing that happens, immediately, mutual aid is called.
Well,
Not if
that can
we're
still
going
take some
mutual
time.
aid.
If we're going mutual aid.
We're going mutual aid, now we can't,
Yeah.
with one firefighter on the truck.
Well, that's.
I definitely think that a fire cert is extremely important in this, and that's just my opinion because, we're providing the best coverage for the town.
Yep. In this case,
you
we're
know.
talking another town, not our town.
Well, we're talking our town too, right? If we
Not
show up with a fire
mutually.
truck and an ambulance and you can get one person inside,
But if
You
you,
need two to tango.
if
You
you
need
have a
three,
structure fire,
technically.
first of all, if you have a structure fire
yeah,
and it's in town, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it, I mean, every time I've heard of one coming in, the first thing that happens is Goffstown is called, New Boston is called, they immediately bringing in people.
yeah, but
that-
we've
and
been to
you
fires where
cancel
we're
them.
waiting 15 minutes for them to come because if they're out on runs, right? So we're gonna show up with a fire truck and an ambulance and stand there and go, sorry, we can't get you.
Well, again,
You know what I mean?
I did
Chief.
suggest that the person be trained on a forestry pump, maybe even just being trained on being
If
able
you
to
can't
run
throw a
the
ladder
pump.
to save someone that's in a burning house,
Okay, Killian?
You know what I mean? We
I
have
think
to
you're
think.
finding a very, 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 very specific anecdotal.
But here's the thing, is
This-
it's a rare occurrence, right? It's a
Right.
rare occurrence in this town, but it's one that's
takes one.
very deadly that kills,
takes one.
kills people on the job. It only takes one, you know?
Okay.
Takes
well,
one time, one
I think
incident.
that- I think
So-
that overall.
I think
it's
to
a-
cover
it's-
the taxpayers, to cover the town appropriately, I think that they would need to at least have fire one.
Okay.
I think that
I mean,
is
it's certainly.
very-
I'm not saying this is the be all end all and.
No, I know, and I'm just
That's-
giving my input. So, and that's why fire departments train so much on fire stuff, because it's a rare occurrence, and no fire is the same, you know what I mean? So I feel personally very strongly that needs to be added in there.
Okay,
But that's just my take on it.
good enough. Fair enough.
So, we've had a couple of meetings worth of discussions. I want to go back to when we first started the per diem program. This board voted that so the article that was put forth before the town said firefighter EMTs. Our goal was to get the best bang for our buck for the employees, to be able to do whatever job we needed done for the people that were calling for help, which are taxpayers and residents and others that visit our town. And so, but we were not certain that we could get fire and EMS coverage out of the pool of people that we had to work with. So we said we preferred to have both, but if we couldn't, we could do EMS only. And we had to have 2 licensed attendants. License, I mean, qualified to work on an ambulance. But this board voted that the 2 people on duty would have to take an ambulance to a fire call, and then they could fight the fire. And we had a situation where we had a fire call, and we had an ambulance there for quite some time with no ability to fight the fire. And so it seems like this is kind of going back to that. We voted for full-time coverage to have 2 people round the clock with minimum qualifications to be able to be those first responders. And I think it's unsafe and it's very unfair to that person if we're not shooting to get the best coverage that we can. If we aren't able to get people qualified for the minimums that we expect to have, then we can do something different. But I don't think that we should start the day or the shift by choosing a lower qualification without trying to get the best we can. The other thing too, Louisa, is I have to bring something up. I know that you worked shifts before under the per diem program when we couldn't get the fire coverage we could work. And so I feel that it's a conflict of interest here.
And I've said that before. I
to-
definitely have
for
a
you
concerted
to
interest.
be-
And if you want me not to vote on this, I'm totally willing.
Well, you can't vote on it. The question is, I'm questioning, should you enter into the discussion on it
And then I will say no more.
to try to convince
I'll say no
somebody?
more. Nope. Fine. You know my position.
And I do want to say thank you for taking
And my
the
position is
initiative.
not
Yeah.
from my personal perspective. My position is more for what I think would benefit the fire department and what I think would benefit.
Oh, I think everybody should
The
have some
town.
type of input.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. To even,
Yeah.
if there's a conflict of interest, you still have a
Right.
right to speak as a member of the board and someone with insight. Just, you can't vote on it. I mean, you could actually, but it's your decision to declare conflict of interest and abstain from a vote.
Yeah.
Well, we're all making an argument in what we want to see happen and what we think should happen. And so I guess we'll have to ask for legal opinion on that. I think that if it's a clear pay issue, then the people that are involved should recuse themselves from the issue. So we can get a legal opinion on that. I felt compelled to point that out because We do have 4 members of the fire department are on the board, and we have to be very, very careful to avoid conflicts. It's getting increasingly difficult to do that where the department has come from volunteer to pretty much everybody is paid at some point. We don't truly have volunteers anymore. And so we have to be careful with that, with the makeup of the board. So that's my input. Is there anything else?
I want to say thank you for taking the initiative, Louisa.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. That is very much appreciated.
I have one comment to make that, just in that the shifts would first go to, be made available to full-time, and then if no full-time employee signs on to take the open shift, I would like to see it be open to anybody, because, if we're trying to save the taxpayers' money, then, it would be better to fill those shifts with part-timers and not pay any overtime if we can avoid it.
I could see in the aspect, but in my opinion, they have to meet all the qualifications, right?
Right, that aside, just
That aside, okay, all right, yeah, no, I don't know.
just saying part-time versus full-time and talking about overtime and how that impacts how much we end up paying.
Okay, that is in there.
Well, we still pay, but if we're not getting the level of coverage, then it may be less money, but it may not be what we need for that day, and so that to me is a waste of money.
Sure, but I'm
So-
not talking about who has what certifications or qualifications. I'm just saying in general that as long as any employee meets the qualifications that are decided for the policy, that I think it would be better to open it to everybody instead of just full-timers first, and then if no full-timers take it, then go to part-time.
That's something that we can look at, provided we have the right minimum qualifications in there.
Right.
Well, and this kind of shows that all personnel, all fire department employees to sign up. So I don't see that there's any preference there.
No, it just had the one statement here, this one.
Offer to full-time.
The first one is,
Okay.
supposed to be open to all full-time employees first. After that,
Okay.
that's how it was written.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the qualifications, and so that, if I want to see us get qualified people for a reasonable price, but we can't have somebody that is not qualified to work a shift, since we have gotten to the point that we have, if at all humanly possible, to have the right person to take that shift, to give us the service that the town needs and expects. And that, the vote to go that route with the full-time personnel was pretty overwhelming this last year. It was about a 2-to-1, I believe, majority, so that's what the taxpayers are asking for, too.
As this could directly impact me, I will refrain from voting as well, but it's my opinion that I think, of course, it would be cheaper to bring in part-time employees, but they're also not mutually qualified. So naturally, it's going to be cheaper to put unqualified personnel in. I don't think that's the right, not unqualified, less qualified. And I don't feel it's the right thing to do.
I will say that it's something on paper, and thank you for that. We've been asking for that for the last, well, at least 2 meetings to have a policy done, so this is the first of that. So I believe that we had asked you to see that a policy was drafted.
It
So,
did.
So this is it? Okay.
So it could, I mean, this is a draft, so if you wanted to change, come back next time with a different policy. Or put it out there and vote on it, or I don't know. I don't know what you do at this point.
I mean, is it something that everyone wants to take till next meeting to look at, and then we can move on, or do you want to discuss it now?
Well, I think we should discuss it now so that the
Do you want, okay,
changes,
no, I was just saying.
if there are changes to be made, they'll be in the next draft.
Yep. I agree.
So,
So,
Well, go ahead.
like, and I understand what you're saying, both of you, all three of you, about, if we just put, about the qualifications, if the board decides that they want anyone who's gonna pick up these shifts to be Fire One certified, then, you add that into the policy. It's permissible for employees to sign up for an open shift provided, and add that, if that's what you want to do. And then, my suggestion is just under procedure, instead of the full-time being first, it should be all qualified employees. So those two
I can see that,
changes,
because
one
then
or
at the end,
two.
if the shift isn't unfilled.
I would be agreeable to that.
Yeah, I'm agreeable to that. And then, because right at the end, it says if it's not filled, then they get forced, right? Full-timers get forced, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
They get mandated overtime.
So-
That are mandated.
I would say that, yeah.
So, there's nothing in here about driving apparatus either.
I think that's, that's another. good-
Well, that would be,
It is.
we would be okay there, because there's only one slot being filled, so the other slot already has a CDL, which in my opinion is ridiculous, but we have a CDL driver.
But we also have officers, and it's not the best situations to have the officer be the driver.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Because they got stuff to do.
Well, you have to get to the fire scene first.
Yep, and there's stuff to do on the way sometimes. So I just think that, no, we can disagree, but I think that
Do you wanna-
that's real important for both employees who are on duty to be able to do those things.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, and currently, we do
and
require
to
that,
have
but
the
this is a,
flexibility. Well, that's why I say that
We do for a
anybody
full-time
who fills
employee.
shifts should have those minimum qualifications that the town voted to have 2 full-time firefighter EMTs on duty, and we have established minimum qualifications for that, and that should be our floor. I'm not saying that full-time is the key, but qualified people, they should be that qualified.
So one of the qualifications for full-time employees is to have a CDL license?
currently it is.
Okay.
Do they all?
I'll accept one on probation.
And we've also had that discussion about CDL certification requirement, which
Yeah, I think
I have
we-
on my list to talk
We've had
about.
I
that
think
for
we-
years.
But,
Years.
Need that, right?
whether we
There
waive
you
the
go.
CDL and qualify them to drive, or whether we require the CDL, they need to be able to drive the apparatus.
Sure, and that is there.
Sure.
That's number
So,
3.
Drive an ambulance,
Yeah, it says
number
nothing about
3,
fire truck.
and then 4 is the forestry vehicle.
They need to put all fire
That, yeah, that's,
trucks. In my opinion,
Well, that sort of fell into the
EMS only.
qualified to take the shift as determined by the chief. So sort of that was the all-inclusive at the end, the chief really gets to make the final call.
well, I think those are important. I think that's as important as that they're signed off to drive the ambulance and tech the back of the call.
Well,
on the
tech the
call.
back of call is a legal thing.
Yeah.
I believe that that's what we should be.
So should we add into here that they need to have the minimum qualifications of firefighter 1 or 2 or whatever we agree on as a board, and that they have to have a CDL.
Well, I guess, do we look at the job descriptions to see what the actual language is and work on that?
Well, in order to meet the qualifications of a full-time employee, it would have to be CDLB, tank and air brake, EMT or above, Fire 1 or above. Those are the minimum requirements,
Okay,
so.
I think that's fair enough, right?
so, as a call firefighter, you know, if they're working in that capacity, then that should be the minimum.
So you want a call force to be CDL as well as Fire One?
Call firefighters have to have a CDL, right, and where to drive?
To drive.
Yep,
Call firefighters.
yeah.
Right, in order to drive. They don't need it to be a
Be on the
firefighter.
call.
Well, so, again, it's a support role more versus the first people out the door.
Not if it's a second call.
Well, right, but currently the on-call,
We have to, we can't, I mean, it would be very difficult for us to find people that are qualified, that are willing to serve as a call firefighter historically, to be qualified in
this is
in all
part
of
of the
those
reason why.
areas.
But that's what.
Because we're requiring them to have a
Requirement.
CDL, CPAT, Fire 2.
No, I'm talking about as a call firefighter. We don't
Right, that's
require
why-
CPAT for call firefighters.
You're right.
And we don't require that they be a driver, correct?
Correct. And that's why if we start requiring it, we're not gonna have any
Well, for
volunteers.
shift
For,
coverage, I
for,
can see.
for a shift coverage.
So that's taking
what I'm
away a
talking
benefit
about.
from the call force, is that they can't pick up shifts that are dropped by full-timers.
If they're not
I thought we were
qualified.
worried about the taxpayers, not benefits.
That's a straw man, and
No,
we can be
no,
worried about
that's-
both. I mean, you're talking about retaining call force members and
Well-
attracting them. And if you're gonna make it so that, well, this one attractive feature where you could pick up shifts, if someone calls out, is gone, and you're saying that it's hard to retain them, I mean, that's kind of,
At the end of the day, though, if a call goes out, if they're a call member, they can go. There's nothing like restricting any call member from not going out on a call. You know what I mean?
No, but, so you have your first call, and
Yeah.
your full-time staff has gone off on a med
Yeah.
call. And now you have a second call, it's a fire, there's a brush fire somewhere.
Brush fire's on a CDL unit.
Part of the reason why we spent,
Whatever the call is, you have that second call, it's about it occurs probably as often as a structure fire occurs in where, where you have somebody that can't run up a ladder, but now you have a call force that can't go because they don't have a CDL.
They can't drive a fire truck there,
They
absolutely.
can't drive a fire truck.
If they don't have a CDL, I think that covers legal on the town, us.
But we also.
I don't know if there's any
I didn't think there was a law that said you had to have a
NFPA law? Anything
CDL.
NFPA related with CDLs? I don't know.
And
No.
I think we also discussed the fact that our insurance didn't require a CDL.
so whether we require a CDL or not, they should be a qualified driver for the apparatus, in my opinion.
To be trained on driving.
I think we all agree on that.
Okay,
yeah.
so then
one, right?
I think they both should be.
I
I mean-
definitely think CDL or not, definitely the fire should be a requirement. I think that needs to be added.
The town voted 4 years in a row to start working towards this program, and I think that that's deteriorating the program if we lessen our qualifications. And it's also not fair to the other person that's working if they have to carry an extra load because that person can't carry their load. I just feel very strongly about that.
Okay, well,
Anybody else?
I agree with Steve on it. I really do. Just in the fire, I don't know, like, I'm not EMS. I know nothing about EMS. S- But I think definitely having fire, and I, personally, in my opinion, I think a CDL should be a requirement.
I agree.
So we have high-frequency, low-risk calls, we have high-frequency, high-risk calls, we have low-frequency, all that. So, that's why it's important for people to be qualified if we don't get that many of the real big fires and stuff, because they are a very high risk. They may be low frequency, but a very high-risk operation.
I agree.
And so it's important that people can do the job that they need to do. So,
So where do we go from?
have we looked at any other policies from other departments or anything?
No.
Okay.
well, we've looked at, internally, we have looked at a bunch, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
Like 10 pages long.
I like the length of this one.
Well, it's a lot of this,
It's a good job
I think
with that.
all of these have come from bits and pieces from other departments. I'm not sure what method Louisa used, but this looks similar to a lot of the ones I've seen.
I just want to make mention that I wonder if the taxpayers were, aware voting for all of these full-times and that it would be mandated overtime and that no part-timers would be able to fill, They agreed to a certain amount to pay, but we're now extending that greatly with these mandated overtime shifts for full-timers.
I can tell you that we shared with the Finance Committee at public hearings, selectmen's meetings that was concerning the budget and stuff like that, that we were very upfront with what the costs were going to be. And that's what the people voted for. And we also, again, we talk about retention and et cetera.
I think this is going to be very detrimental to retaining any type of a call force, any robust, it's certainly not going to give us the opportunity to really expand it. I think it will be detrimental, and I think it is also a disservice to the town, where most of our calls are med calls, that it's going to be very difficult to get additional people on. You're going to have to go to mutual aid, because there's not going to be people to cover this additional shifts or additional need if there's a call.
If there's a
Because your
second
call
call,
force is going to dwindle.
this isn't talking about second calls. though.
No,
This
but
is talking
I
about-
think what Leah was saying was that to have a robust call force, you need to have people who can get experience and go out. You need to have them feel as though they are part of the department, not just, a name that, you can pop in whenever you want. That our call force is skeletal. There's basically nothing left. And I don't think you're going to grow it by not giving them opportunities
There's
to.
plenty of opportunities. You can go and hang out on a shift and hang out. You don't need to get paid for it. If you really want to, you know what I mean? I did it for years. I think that I learned from a lot of great people doing that. And I would never I don't think anybody would knock anybody for coming and hanging out on a shift and, you catch a call? Cool, like, let's go. No full-timer's gonna be like, nope, you're not gonna go. You know what I mean?
Nobody
do
can
know what you
afford to
mean.
work for free.
Well, no,
It's
but.
not even a
It's not
free
working
or
for
not
free,
for
but-
free. It's a time thing. It's a mindset, and it's a very difficult mindset to get your head around it if you don't have any other impetus to really get out there other than, you're,
Other than money?
no, other than feeling like you're part of the department.
If you want to be part of an organization, you have to put in the effort. Whether it's, you get a
You have to be
paycheck or
given the
not, aside.
opportunity.
There's plenty of opportunities, like I just said. If you were like, okay, I wanted to work one shift a month, right? You can take one Saturday and go down there a month, or one shift a month and go down there and hang out. If you catch a call, cool, you know what I mean? But there's plenty of opportunities for training and stuff like that. All the full-timers, I guarantee would be happy to help with training if, oh, hey, I need, freshen up on this. All right, let's go look at it, I don't know. I guess I will say I have a different view on it.
So we haven't had a robust call department for a long time, and that's why we've come this far with what we've had to do. The department was collapsing, and the ambulance and the fire trucks were not getting out, period. We had a meeting where the other area fire chiefs came to the selectmen and said, you are taking advantage of the mutual aid agreement by not providing the manpower to get your stuff out. We shouldn't be handling your routine calls. So it's not because we've hired full-time people that we're having trouble getting call people.
When was that?
2010.
Okay, so 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
we're-
long time.
6
yes.
years ago,
And-
that was
and-
not the case.
And we started adding people.
4 years ago when I started,
Can I
that was not
finish,
the
please?
case.
We've started adding people in 2010. We started with 7 to 5, 5 days a week, and we incrementally increased that. And the effort was always to supplement the call people and give them a break. The first part of that was most people work during the day, so we'll give them, and the few that were coming in and trying to do as many calls as they could, we were trying to give them help so that they could come for those second calls when we had them. And we struggled right up until recently, till we got coverage, because to be able to get that coverage. And we weren't, we kept adding because we've been on the edge of losing, collapsing with the call system since that time. Yes, it's been 12 years, going on 13.
And 4
And
years
it's a
ago,
lot of it's a culture change.
4 years ago when I started, there were no full-time employees, and there was 22-hour coverage, 22 hours a day with coverage, somebody in the station from 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and then, yes, overnight call was from home.
And that was,
And that was 4 years ago.
yep, and that was a really, really difficult piece to get coverage and to get people to come in for, especially at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
But we had it.
It wasn't really effective.
I don't know how
I
many.
I don't know how many people needed that help and didn't get it, but if it's one person,
Well,
and
could
we
go
could help that, it's one person too many.
Back and look, I don't think there were a lot of overnight calls that did not have somebody respond to the call. Now,
I
that
differ with you.
that, and we can go back and look. I mean,
Yeah.
that's as long as I've been on the
Like
call
I said,
force.
one call that we could have answered that we didn't is one call too many.
Well,
Whatever.
that's, I think, the water
I think
under the
that's a
bridge.
moot
We're still
point.
faced with that. So,
You are still faced with that.
Right.
If you have a call in the middle of the night and then you get a second call in the middle of the night, that's one that's not necessarily going to be covered, that you're gonna have to go to mutual aid. And it is what it is. That's just the situation.
But we don't have
Yeah,
to
you
go.
can't get anything to absolute zero risk.
No, but we don't have to give up that first call with the two people that we have on duty by watering down what we're using for qualifications to provide that coverage.
But for overtime,
Overtime is a
This
shit,
is
whether
what
it's
we're talking
overtime or
about,
straight time,
overtime.
we're talking about coverage in the station, ready to go on a call. We have two people, 24 hours a day, that we're putting in the station, no matter what their situation is. If we have mutual aid in there covering the station because we're out on a call, then those are people in the station.
I hear that, but we're
Okay, so, you know,
I agree
I
with-
just think that it should be that minimum qualifications at the minimum
For
to
this.
be able to cover a ship.
I think we're getting a little off topic. We're talking about this, correct?
Yeah,
So then I think then we need to come up with what the minimal qualifications are, which were on the job description, which I think that you had brought up, and we'll add it into here. Do you want to take a vote on it as a board? Everybody? Yes, no, maybe, kinda?
Make a
Well-
motion, if you want to make a motion.
Or do we have to, I don't know what the wording is on the job description.
anybody can make a motion. What I would suggest that maybe, if you're open to that, is that if we put the language, unless you want to vote on that, because I
don't know what the
don't think we
language-
can vote on the policy tonight if we don't have it in front of us.
I agree.
But if that, I mean, we can vote on the language of that, basically, and then come back and finalize it.
Do you know what Goffstown's got for policies
I do not.
in Hennecker?
I do not.
You know,
They don't require CDL,
Who, Goffstown?
right?
No, I don't believe they do.
But we've always had CDL ever since I got hired here. That was over 30 years ago.
Right.
And I believe in having a CDL.
I agree. I think it's just
You're covering the town.
No,
everybody.
you're not.
I think
You're
you
not
are.
at all.
Well, as far as I'm
If you get a
concerned.
CDL, you run over a kid with that truck, you're still getting sued, so's the town,
Yeah,
whether you get a CDL or not.
yeah,
Which
well,
is why it's not required by our insurance, correct? Primex does not require a CDL.
Okay, so do you want to wait till next meeting? We'll look up all the CDL stuff for the town. The
I think that's
legal-
a-
That's another issue.
That's a totally separate
They,
issue.
Yeah.
they must be qualified to drive apparatus, which is right now, the department requires a CDL.
I think at this point, if you were to change the wording, something to the effect of mutually qualified, or meets minimum requirements of, that would satisfy everybody.
I think that we should do that.
Okay, so who's gonna edit it and bring back a new draft? For next meeting?
I will,
Chief?
Take that?
yeah.
Thank you, Louisa.
So that's what we're gonna go with,
Could bring a couple of versions.
okay?
And we'll look at it next meeting and go from there. I think that's,
Yeah.
is that fair?
The couple of
All
the
right.
points that we talked
Is
about.
everybody fair with that right now?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anybody opposed to that?
No?
Okay, that will be the consensus then. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing I had to discuss was CDL requirements. That was something that we had talked about at the previous meeting.
A couple of meetings I've been at, we talked about CDLs. Obviously, the federal requirement has changed, so you have to go to school now to get your qualifications to go, even to get your CDL. It's about $5,000-ish if you go that route. I was at the Sauhegan meeting in Nashua. We was talking about CDLs, and we happened to have Justin Cutting there from the Fire Academy. The state's driver operator program that they had in place was only a few things lacking before that program would allow them to go, the person to go get their CDL. So that's in place now. The problem with that is lack of instructors and only 5 classes in the state of New Hampshire for the year. So people are signing up, they're getting put on a wait list because they can only do 20 at a time or whatever. So you have 50 people sign up, they take 20, 30 are on a list, then the next class gets canceled because they don't have an instructor. The next month, they go and they try to put a program out there, they get 50 people to sign up. they take 20, instructor doesn't show up. So it's not only, it's an academy personnel issue as well as, just not, the people we can't afford to send somebody to one of the schools to get the CDL. I talked to a couple chiefs, I'm not gonna name the towns, that have lifted their requirements for CDL. They said, we just put a robust driver-operator program in place in-house, and we put them through that. And then they, obviously, there's no requirement for that in the state of New Hampshire, so.
Do we require driver operator certification in addition to the CDL to drive the apparatus?
Not necessarily that program, but they are required to make sure that they can operate the truck, get the truck there, hook up suction hose, and pull hand lines, and make sure they're at the right pressure and stuff, so. I feel comfortable that we do a good job with that. It's just getting that person the CDL at this point. It's not, it's almost impossible to get it done.
That said, I move we lift the restriction of CDL in our department.
Second.
In my opinion, if we do that, we need to make sure that we have a training program in place that replaces
Well,
that.
that's what these two
And
chiefs,
that they have to pass that.
they have said that they put a robust pump operator, driver trainer program in place. And, I would be okay with that, as long as, extend it out 2 years or whatever. Within that 2 years, you go and you get your CDL license.
On
'Cause
your
I think
own
there was-
dime? On your own dime?
For $5
Well,
grand?
it's part of it's part of the, your job description now, correct?
It is, but we were also providing the training and the trooper
Right.
at no cost to the candidate.
Which is not happening anymore, correct?
It's just, yeah. I think they should have a CDL eventually, but, we've got a situation now that, what the situation is.
I do.
And, it's not a pretty one. I think we've put a person in a place with no out.
That's right. And, even 2 years down the road, is it gonna be any easier to get a CDL, or is it gonna cost the employee $5,000 to do it?
I think as time moves along, I think it is gonna be easier to get it, because the academy's gonna have to boost their program, because there's so many people that need it,
Or just never offer it
or
again.
just never offer it again.
In
Right.
the time that I've been with Weare Fire, I've been looking for a driver operator course to the academy. There has not been one.
Yeah.
And that's
I think
6
that-
years?
That's a shaky road then, if you're gonna hire
Right.
people and say within 2 years you have to have a CDL, and then, oh,
I don't
by the way,
think
it's
we
gonna
should
cost you
require a
$5,000.
CDL.
Especially right now.
I don't think, wait a minute.
Maybe look at it in 2
I-
years and see how the program is, and
I
then,
don't think you should remove the requirement unless we have a program in place for training and.
I'll agree
make
with that.
sure because you're still responsible for the training, even though you may not be required to go through the CDL.
Currently.
New Hampshire license program, including pre-trip inspection, et cetera. So, and I have a question, I don't want to go on a rabbit trail, but do we require post-trip inspections?
No.
Okay, we should be doing that, because the shift people can come in and do the trucks that they operate for their pre-trip, but if somebody comes in to take another truck at a call, then they don't have an opportunity to take a pre-trip.
Correct.
So doing a post-trip inspection after they come back, making sure it's ready for the next call is acceptable in the situation where they can't do a pre-trip inspection. So that would be a good idea to incorporate
I think that should be part of it.
into the program, yeah.
Well, it is supposed to be. Certainly, we have requirements anytime you come back from a call to restock, rehab the ambulance, go through, so we are doing it. We are required to do it. Same with the engine, the tanker, it's supposed to be full of fuel, full of water. So that is, it's already there.
There should be in writing that the brakes were okay, that there was no
No rims
issues
or
with
We don't
that.
have any drivers that are gonna go under and check the brakes.
Did they work okay?
Sure.
That's something
Okay,
that can,
so-
you know, because just having a place where there's any discrepancies found in the vehicle is at least documentation that, you know.
Oh, sure. Well,
something
that's
needs to
a-
be looked at. And-
I think that's SOP.
But actually, what's better for that is that somebody saying everything was okay on that trip helps for the next one. See what I'm saying? So you don't, not necessarily want to see problems. You want to see that the truck's ready to go.
Right. Well, current SOP, if there is a problem, is to be reported up the chain of command immediately. So I don't think it's been an issue. Aside from that, talking about requiring proper training, our current probationary manuals require every candidate to be signed off to drive, whether they have a CDL or not. You have to go through our program to be qualified by your officers to drive, to pump, to do anything. So we already have that training in place. And that's why I'm suggesting we remove the requirement for CDL. I'm not suggesting we remove the training, just the requirement for CDL. For the past several rounds, I have provided all of the training for our drivers before they went and got their CDLs. They've all passed. They all got their CDLs. So we have a pretty good training program. I'm confident in it. The requirement of CDL, as Chief mentioned, we have one that currently has no way out. And no, I know we have some other prospects somewhere in the pipeline for the future. They have no way in without spending a lot of money out of pocket.
Well, I've been on record in previous meetings saying I was opposed to that, but I understand what's happening with training, et cetera. If we do lift the requirement, we have to make sure that these people are well-trained. That's all I'm saying on that. It does put a lot more liability on us if we're removing that third-party certification. As little or as good as it may be, it's
can't
still
do it
there.
in-house
It's still
training?
there.
I have to go to state now.
We'd have to have somebody that was, you know, because we talked about a training site, but I'm not sure that we have anybody that can do that. Yeah. What, is it okay if I ask Naomi a question about that from the no?
Yeah, I think.
Is that okay with everybody?
Fine.
All right. So, thank you, by the way, she's doing our minutes for us. Thank you for helping us out tonight.
Paper?
Is anything that you can talk about with us on the highway department? I know they're a little bit different, where their vehicles aren't considered emergencies, so they don't have the exemption, but how's things going with training drivers? Are we hiring any drivers? And,
We have one position open, no one's applied. We may have an in-house person that's certified to be a trainer. We might be able to do it in-house, but we haven't approached him.
okay,
Obviously not for free,
yeah.
you know, he's certified to do tractor trailers and everything else, so he's an instructor.
So you,
We briefly had mentioned it, not,
okay, so you don't know if there might be a program in the works then?
at this point, there's not,
Okay. Is there any way that we can extend that?
that was my thoughts there.
So we don't have to make that leap? Is that something we have to do tonight?
Make
What?
it late?
No,
Oh,
We have a motion on the table.
Oh, yep.
you're right, we do, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Why don't we raise our hands? Okay, no? Okay, we have, I think everybody was 5 and 2, 5 in favor, 2 opposed.
I didn't say no.
Killian didn't vote.
I'm sorry.
I didn't say no, I was just, I'm gonna, whatever.
Abstain.
I saw Dave.
Abstain.
Oh, you did abstain?
Yeah,
So it's
I'm
4-3-1.
too on the fence about it, I don't know, I'm on the fence about it.
Okay.
That's just my thing, I mean, you guys wanna do it, cool,
So
but.
it's
Okay.
four-
You know what I mean,
Four.
it doesn't matter, right? You
So
guys-
we're 4-2-1.
4-2-1.
4-2-1, sorry. No one can count on this board.
Okay.
Yeah, I abstain.
All right, so, again, that training program is paramount. Okay, the next item that I had for old business was negligent fee policy that you talked about earlier,
Yep,
Chief.
that's, I have, and I might have to dig for it, but it's here. I just think it needs to be kind of updated and fresh selectmen sign it. There's times that we go out there and this was put in place in 2003, based on, people's negligent acts, burning illegal, we have to go out, put it out. A lot of the times we will, we'll kind of eat the first one, depends on their, how they approach, we're approached by them. It also includes paramedic and intermediate intercepts. There's a fee in here. Where we have full-time staff now, sometimes we're called for intercepts, and I don't think we have a good way of recouping that cost like everybody else. They bill us, and we bill them. So this is just a copy of that. I think we need to think about, it says an ambulance is $21 an hour. Well, it probably was back in 2003, but I think it's a lot more than that now. So what do you just want a copy of this, and, because this is the only, this is the one. I
Okay,
have.
so, I think along with that, just, I think it's time possibly to revisit our fee schedule for ambulance billing in general.
We are talking about that.
Okay, and what we have done in the past is, we, as a board, redid the policy several years ago and increased our fees. And the selectmen said they had to have the hearing, and so they had the hearing, and then after the hearing, they refused to vote on it and said that was our responsibility. So I believe that we would have to hold the hearing, and then we as a board would have to vote on that
Okay.
increase in billing policy.
So. would
So
you-
should we, since we have to go through all that, should we look at all the fees and stuff and make sure that we're up to date?
Well, this is actually a town ordinance, so I think this is something a little bit different, Naomi, do you think? This ordinance is different than would be the fee schedule, so. So if you,
Oh,
want-
okay,
if you want me
I
to
see.
move forward with this, then this is a town ordinance.
Okay,
I'll freshen these numbers up using the FEMA rates, and,
okay, so that's not actually like going through the billing company then,
no,
that's,
no,
okay.
this is something
Yeah,
that,
you're right, okay.
the last one I did was a brush fire that, the guy was burning on a class 4 day, and it got out of control, and we used quite a bit of stuff up there. And that's what I used. I used the FEMA rates for the vehicles. And so I'll just freshen this up and bring it back, and then I'll send it over to, well, I'll let you guys look at it, then send it over to them.
Okay.
And then, so that would go on the ballot for March
No, we
feasibly,
wouldn't have
or?
to do that.
Or the
Right now,
selectmen
we
just
would
vote on it?
Yeah, vote
Okay.
on it, yeah.
Okay.
It's just trying to freshen stuff up so that
Gotcha.
I have clean numbers if I have to charge somebody for something.
Okay.
Okay.
That's that.
And then we talked about the ambulance. I was just wondering if you could tell us the progress, and I'm
Oh, God, yeah.
especially interested if we've heard anything about
I will.
a chassis yet.
We have not.
Great.
So a week ago, last Friday, we had got the preliminary drawings and spec back from the factory. So you have to go through and make sure that the drawings meet, you know, that what it says on paper actually is on the drawings. Well, we found some discrepancies there. We found a couple of things that never got included. So we had to make all those notes, and then I went down to the dealer, and we sat there and we went page by page over everything. And obviously, we had some subtractions because of stuff that was doubled up, and then we had some additions of stuff that got left off. So we made those changes so that everything matched. I said to him, how long is it gonna be before we see the final come back? And he says, oh, it's usually 2 or 3 weeks. I got it back the next Wednesday from the factory. So that's kind of telling me that they're moving forward a little quicker than they were in April when we signed the agreement to purchase the truck. So I got the final back, I went through the final, I didn't find anything crazy in there, there's a couple things. So from the estimate cost in April to today, keep in mind, we added some things, took some things away. It's $6,447 more than it was, the estimate was then. So that puts the total cost of the truck, $332,737. That's the new price. Hopefully tomorrow or the next day, I'll have the contract. I'm gonna go over to Selectmen Monday night, have the contract signed, and then ship it back to them. So that puts us right in line with, you know, we're the next one in line from, you know, to make the thing happen. So if you get, you know, we can go over this, you know, what I found, what I didn't find, but I know that, you know, it's pretty solid, so, and it's final. So you can't really make any changes from this point, so.
And that includes radios and all that stuff
That
that
does
we
not
had?
include radios.
Okay, so
Does not include radios.
are we still good with the budget?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no, but I don't think, at this point, I don't think we'll go with a new radio. Because we're supposed to get new radios in 2 years from now. In the CIP, it's all, you know, for all brand-new radios. I think maybe that's the time to do it.
okay.
That way, we're not spending $6,000 on a radio at this point, when all we would have to buy is the cabling to go from one side of the truck to the other. So, because that has to be in place before they start construction. So, but that's the only thing that has to be shipped at this point.
Okay.
We've worked with a dealer to do a couple of the other things in Massachusetts, so we're there to kind of place things.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody got anything on that? Any questions? All right. Do you have any old business for us?
I don't think so. Budget was submitted. You'll be able to, after Monday, you'll see that 90% of that was taken care of upstairs. Beth put all the numbers in there. She figured all the payroll numbers and all that stuff. And we just moved a couple things around to make things look a little better. The proposed budget added for the ladder and hose testing. That was about the only thing, it was like $4,500, but the other stuff, so total, I think it was around 59,000 additional on the proposed.
So I have a copy that I picked up.
Am I close? Just remembering off the top
Yeah,
of my head.
it's $58,006 increase, which is a 5.03% increase is what
But
what
most
you
of that
had
is
here.
the 6 month of payroll for the full-time staff.
And so you have here
Retirement.
what's up and down.
Yep. I did not bring a copy of that for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I only have one.
Yep, no, that's fine. I know what it looks like, it's just over there.
So a lot of it is, increases for, we have, you increase the deputy chief stipend by 12,000, reduce the part-time firefighter wages by that amount. To move that, we have 15,452 for the adopted pay scale. Then we have fire wages administrative assistant was reduced 4,800, dropped the hours from 30 to 25.
Correct.
Then we have pay increase equals overtime increase in overtime for 4,213. You have pay increases for Medicare, FICA,
Yep,
and New Hampshire Retirement System of $215, $644, $3670 respectively. Telephone is increased $1,800 based on the monthly cost. Capital area mutual aid, it says increase due to increase in town assessment to capital area.
yeah, that was about 9,000 something.
It says 10,939
Oh, yeah.
for the increase. Just fire insurance is $12 over cost of contract, it says.
Oh, that's the personnel insurance, the call force and full-time staff and
Okay.
disability or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Provident?
Yep.
Yep.
And then it has fire dues is increased to cover mutual aid fees of $130. Fire lawn care is up $1,500 because of contract increase, year 2 of 3. Fire water hose cistern repair is up $2,000.
What was it?
Chimney fire.
Monitor frequency.
Good thing they got fire one.
Okay, then we got fire intercepts, is that actually paramedic intercepts? Okay. That's up 2,100. And I know that prices have increased on those, right, for other departments?
Yeah, they've gone up to close to 600.
Okay, then we've got 5,000 for radio maintenance program, batteries and shipping, software support, $4,234.
The radio repair, that was always a fixed number because we had a contract with R&R Communications. Okay, and now we do not have a contract with R&R Communications, so I'm only guessing what that's gonna cost. I know that I was kinda caught a little bit on the, when we did the capital area transfer. The contract kinda ran out about the same time we was doing it, so I ended up having to pay like close to $4,000 in, stuff that wasn't really accounted for.
So when we reduce the budget for going to Capital Air because we're not taking care of the towers anymore and stuff,
We're
right?
not taking care of the towers, correct?
Okay, so, yeah, because, so it says 21 was 15.9,
Yeah,
and then
that's- we had- no, but
2022,
that was all of the radios, the town radios. The PD was involved in that too.
and then okay, so then the expenses as of 9/30/22 was 11/9/25.
Correct.
For this year.
Right. But that didn't include the last third of the year or
Right.
something like that.
Okay. And so you're finding that there's a shortfall in maintaining the radios?
Well, I have to be very careful because now I'm paying, if I call them and say, hey, the radio in my car's not working, when they leave Keene, that's when the clock starts. So I have to be pretty careful on the chief's vehicle. That hasn't been reprogrammed yet because I'm gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah,
So my thought was, maybe someday when I want to take a day off, is run it over there and just have them program it. That way I don't pay the travel costs and mileage and all that stuff. I think it's cheaper for me to do it that way than it is for them to come over. So I'm kind of in the middle of
So we
figuring
don't-
that all out.
okay, so we don't have an actual proposal for a contract then for them for that piece of it?
No.
Okay.
And I had talked to them, I had talked to R&R, probably back in July, August, something like that, to say, we need to sit down and figure out what we're not gonna pay for, because we're not using it anymore. And then I found out that it was basically not worth talking to them, because, there was no contract anymore, so. But we still need, in our contract, over the years, I had been pretty careful about that because, I wanted at least one free programming a year in the contract. I wanted batteries to be included, because every time you call up and order a battery, they have to get it shipped and you have to pay for it. And we was doing very well with that, with the, they had, we had, good relationship with them that they would let us know, hey, you're getting kind of close on your batteries, do you need any? And, we don't have that luxury of calling them now.
Okay.
And I don't know, right now, Goffstown is gonna be going over to a different radio system. We're gonna end up having the radios reprogrammed again, so that's not a cheap thing to do when they have to come here and do them all, so.
Okay. The next thing we have is 4,234 for increase in CAD dump to fire and EMS reporting.
Yes, that was something that wasn't included in the, nobody had thought about it. So we kind of pulled the trigger on that because instead of having our guys sit there and type all these numbers in, Capital can just dump them into the system. So we thought that was, it was worth it to get that done. So we pulled the trigger on that already. That's already in the works, so.
So then, we have physicals, $1,000 for new call force personnel.
Yeah.
We have fire prevention, $150 for increase of materials. We have radio equipment, $1,400 if pages of purchase can be reduced to 30. Okay, so the increase is $1,400 for radio equipment,
Correct.
but it says if pages are produced in 2022 can be reduced to 3,600. Does that mean the total budget?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So the 14.
My hopes was to, at
Okay.
the end of the year, look at and utilize some of the You know, when the selectmen ask for, hey, what do you guys want, one-time purchase or whatever, that would be one of the things that I would be at the top of the list to replace those. We had, when we did the transfer over to capital, we had probably 4 or 5 pagers that they had a real difficult time getting to transfer the frequencies over. And then we've had a couple over the last year that have gone for repair, and then they just come back non-repairable. They can be programmed, but they can't be, the Minotaur 5s are kind of obsolete now, and that's all we've got.
Okay.
It's
Does it
technology,
Does it
Steve.
5 now?
It's technology. Oh, no, there's 6s out there.
Oh, really? Wow, good, huh? Okay, where was, okay, so the next item is 4,500 increase in fire equipment for purchase 2 new chainsaws and 2 new ventilation saws. Have you gotten budget prices for that?
No, other than I've just been talking to people. I
Okay,
haven't got anything, haven't got anything
I don't know how
firm.
much, it seems like that might be a little low, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I know the ventilation saws, they're
yeah, they're not cheap.
pricey, no. Okay. And then 3,500 increase due to hose testing in the fire equipment maintenance. So that's a total of 58,000 for increased spending.
But that's with all the payroll stuff for the 6 months for the full-time staff.
Yeah.
Retirement, FICA, all that stuff.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments?
I sort of have a question that may be related. I saw the large check in there for $55,000 for, in the manifest, for,
Life packs,
okay,
yep.
Strike.
That was encumbered from last year.
okay.
That wasn't this year.
That's what I was wondering if we're trying to burn up money that we have left over in the budget, or,
No,
No, that was encumbered from last year. And they were ordered
right?
like a long time ago, and we was getting kind of nervous that we wasn't gonna get them before the end of the year.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want them to come January 1st and have to find $55,000, so
Yep.
we actually have them in hand now, and we paid the bill. We
Okay.
got the bill in case we needed to pay it, and then they
Gotcha.
came and we okayed the bill. So
Okay.
that's where that is.
Thank you.
So that's 2, right?
Two.
Yep. Okay, any other questions or anything? I just need to know why you're adding 12 to the fire chief stipend, and moving that away from per diem, why you feel that that's necessary?
Well, I just think that it
I know
needed to be
it's a-
adjusted because it's never been adjusted. That was the same numbers when Punky was here.
Okay,
It's just,
yeah, I know,
There's a
so,
lot of responsibility and a lot of traveling with my own car, and, yeah, it's just, I think it's fair. I really do.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I said it right when, I think it was the first meeting after Chief Zena retired. I said that for only 4,000. I was,
yeah,
I mean, the
but,
selectmen get more than that.
yeah, but that,
Getting at 5?
that's a stipend, he gets an hourly wage
Right, that's on top of,
on top of the stipend, so,
Yep.
okay, so
I still-
we probably would need to know, you know, what that money is and stuff and approve that raise. So, and it's moved off basically the part-time line there, so it's not an increase in the overall budget. So we'll have to take a look at that.
I do have one question. Is there any
Sure.
way for us to get our Granite State Communications bills down? Because they are insanely high. for these departments, and I don't understand why.
I don't know, I'm sure, I think it's all across the board, right?
So it's,
Imagine Granite State.
Not just even, you know, our cable, Comcast? The cable, like, it just seems that the communications costs are
so we
very
have,
high.
3 stations, phones. And then we must have some, is that it through them?
I think so. There's data, though. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
Beth is the one
do
to
we
ask
use them?
about that.
Do
because
we use them for our internet?
I think so. Like I said, Beth is the
The
best
bill's
one
right
to
there,
ask.
yeah. The bill is right there. You can review it.
We just had an issue with Verizon, and Beth got that straightened out for us. That we was,
Granite State's the one that is well.
Internet, yeah, okay.
I know it's a small item compared to
It's
the
hard
whole
to get.
budget, but it's like, you know, every month we get this huge
Well,
bill.
they must charge probably for business phone, right, for the,
So you're looking at phones, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different lines.
You have one internet line for each tablet that you have.
oh,
And there's one of those in each truck.
Yeah, your internet.
The cell phones and here's that
Is that-
Verizon.
Verizon.
what about, do you have computer hookups in the trucks, right?
No,
3
Are
or
the-
4.
Are those,
Oh, wait a minute.
they're all one.
5.
are those through them or
Probably
Verizon?
split a little bit with Verizon, so it wasn't making on one side.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure the car is on a cell phone.
Yeah, what do we have in the trucks?
You have a tablet in each engine and a tablet in each ambulance.
Yeah, but they are, I mean,
It takes the internet.
it's all just Wi-Fi. I mean, it's all just, okay. Yes, you're right, they do take the internet.
Okay.
But it's not through Verizon. It's through Granite State, you're saying?
I think it
I
is.
think we split.
Yeah, there's some split.
Yeah, it's a split, so
The-
you give you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because if they go and dry up, then you got nothing. We've learned that. There's phone lines, there's,
Yeah, every phone has a different number.
There's all different phone lines, I'm not sure why we have that many.
Could the cell phone hotspots be used instead of giving the,
time sheet,
tablets.
when you guys sign in for a call runs through something.
Yeah, that's,
It's a separate phone line.
yeah.
The I'm responding?
I don't know, there's a whole bunch of phone lines.
I think there's 12.
I mean, that's, you
Beth, yeah.
you
Okay.
guys just upgraded your system like we did here too.
Yeah, they came the other day and,
Yeah.
yeah.
We get out of the tuna can in the spring.
so, we should approve the budget, that's going forward. We did that last year.
it's hard to do that. I don't have
Yeah.
haven't seen it, you know, I know you're reading it but like I can't, I
That's the
can't
best
just
I
like
got.
take all of that in and, you know,
Well, we're under a deadline, right?
Monday night's presentation.
Yeah.
I can't vote on a budget that I like, you know, haven't been able to study. That's just personally where I'm at, like I would be abstaining because I wouldn't feel comfortable.
So that, that's an increase over the default number, right? That 5%.
Without looking, I couldn't tell you. Because most of those lines are, when it came to me, were locked.
Payroll is always locked.
Yeah, payroll's always
No, I
locked. There was a lot of
understand.
stuff down the line that was locked. The telephone and all that stuff. I basically didn't have, there was a few lines that and the ones that I adjusted, but Beth is the one that, yeah, so the default for 23 is 1,152,983, and the proposed is 1,210,989, and it says 5.03 increase. Increase over
22,
over
21's,
20,
over 22.
22's default, yeah.
It would be a no-brainer if we could come in at default. But I know a lot of costs have gone up too.
Well,
so
you got that whole
that's-
6 months of,
That's getting increasingly more difficult to
Wanna see that?
happen.
No, I'm not gonna be able to take any of it in.
Lisa?
But yeah, I can't just do it on the fly and know whether it's
She's an
reasonable or
accountant.
not.
I know, that's why I was saying.
Right, I
I
mean,
don't know. Is this old business or new business?
This is old business.
We could call a special meeting before Monday's presentation and just vote, have one agenda item to vote
We
whether
can.
we approve the budget or not.
I don't, so why is everything above the red line not changeable?
Payroll
Uh-huh,
never has been, because you've got all those people working.
it's not a good reason, because you've got fire and wages for part-time fire department, which we have none of, at 70,000. You have a call force line of $85,000. That seems a little excessive to me, given you have 3 people on your call force. You know, I don't know why you can't change those numbers. Even if you kept the bottom line the same, I'm probably pretty sure you could probably find someplace else, like vehicle maintenance, it probably should go up from 15,000 to something more
I think that
reasonable.
was an increase, right?
No, fire vehicle maintenance, 15,000, same as last year.
I thought oh, that was fire equipment that was up.
yeah.
Equipment maintenance is up 3,500. The hose testing, I mean,
So the-
I don't understand
Special
why these are so locked in stone. If we're budgeting, or we're gonna ask the town to pay or budget $85,000 for a call force.
Because what was, I'm not
The
gonna,
last,
goes to SB2,
as I understand it, it's the last approved budget
it's all it is.
figures, and then it's defaulted, and those are the rules that we have to go by. We can't,
Right, it's what the town voted
Because we
for
can't-
plus a
'cause we
certain
can't go
percentage.
to town meeting and
Per.
argue.
And I understand in total dollars that making sense to me, but some of these line items don't make sense to me. So I'm fine with the default budget being $1 million, whatever it is, $1,000,001 something, something,
Well,
something.
the default is created from what was previously voted on,
Hmm.
so that's why that number was locked.
Which in total, I'm good with, but I don't understand why the line items can't be changed.
It's all in how SB2 wants to rule. That's how we pull it across.
So SB2 has no,
SB2 is how the state law requires you to pull across your numbers. And if they. if
by
they-
line or in total?
We do our budgets by line, so
But what does SB2 say? in total, your default budget has to be blah?
It's what was previously approved, so that's probably a number that was previously approved 3 years ago.
Right, in
'Cause
total.
we have not had an approved budget.
In
for 3
total,
years.
but not by line. See,
By
this-
line is what she's saying, I
By
think.
line
But
is
you're
what
saying
we
by
did.
line.
Yeah, so that's why you see in the proposed and the default, that if we proposed it, the default number is a lot of times the lower number, because that's it. That's why we're trying to buy salt at $79 a ton when we're paid for $49.50.
Well, couldn't we propose to reduce some of those line items instead of carrying forward the
Well,
same?
there you go, in the proposed budget.
You can reduce,
could
you can
change
bring a
that.
proposed budget that's lower than a default budget and change those line items. There's nothing that stops you from doing that besides a vote.
The only thing that we have to be careful of is that we have to make sure that there's enough money for the increases if the budget gets voted down.
That's already voted on, so that's in there. That's why your numbers are higher.
But I'm saying if you were to come in lower, you have to make sure that it's not going to be too low.
So you close the doors.
So
Yeah.
it's,
saying.
and that,
Sure.
and
And
that's,
that's where we
You
are.
just put the money where where it actually makes sense for it to go.
Exactly. And I would think our proposed budget, at least in those two line items, well.
To me, it sounds like
was
we
moved
need a meeting to
12,000 out of
really
one of
talk
them, which
about
is
this
okay.
budget.
But I don't
So-
know why our proposed budget
Because-
should include call force wages of $85,000. That's a lot of money.
Doing this on the fly like this is,
I'm not
Not
arguing
nowhere.
that.
and so I'm just saying, it sounds like we really need to pour over the budget, individually and understand it and see what, we find, and then come together and, have an actual meeting on the budget.
Okay. We got to get it in before Monday night.
And then,
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
I mean, the thought process, I think the town's gonna vote for, well, maybe if the proposed budget is lower, you wouldn't get a default budget. Seems weird to me.
I don't know what the town's.
Well, that's what the system is. You used to go to town meeting and you voted your budgets.
Yeah, sure.
But because people are voting by ballot and don't have an idea what they're voting for or not, they tried to, I'm guessing, don't know for certain, but it must have been to put protections in so that voting no wouldn't defund the whole operation.
Well, okay.
So
but
there's
that's
all
the
kinds of
default.
things that are in there to try to make it work
But
instead
then
of.
we need to be more aware of our proposed budget. If the
Mm-hmm.
default budget is what it is, then I think we need to be a lot more conscientious about the proposed budget. And if we can propose a budget that's less,
The last, how many?
maybe and just not, maybe not get rid of it completely, but propose, changes downward in that area and upward in some of the areas where, like fuel or
And
telephones
the town
or
would
the things
be
that we
more
know we're gonna
likely
have
to vote
pay.
for it.
Yeah,
Electricity's-
that's the problem, is that there are costs that go up. Contract like capital area, even though we're bound to that, if people vote no and end up with a default budget, those increases are not built into the default budget.
So they gotta
You
So-
can propose whatever she wants.
That's what I'm
If you're
saying.
gonna propose 15,000 for fuel, your default number's 5, you're gonna stick with 5 on the default budget, you can't do it. You just have to overrun somewhere else.
Right, if you end up with a default budget, for sure, but that's
So-
what
I think what we're seeing though is that there are places we can reduce.
So the last few years, we've come in at default, so that's an option that we have. So if we look at the numbers and see what we want, the only problem is this is the third year on a default budget, so even though those two items that you mentioned look like they're up, they're also subsidizing other things. And will be subsidizing other things. It's just we can't change the title of it because of the way the rules are for the default budget. It's complicated, there's no question about it. But that, you know, that's the way it is, and that's what we have to deal with.
So what I'm proposing is, in the proposed budget, instead of $150,000 that we'll never spend on those two line items, why don't we take $100,000 of it and move it to places where it might actually happen, like
I think that's
capital?
very irresponsible to just talk numbers like that off the top of your head. Because last year, we took money out of those lines to come up with shortfalls that we had last year. This year, those shortfalls are gonna be worse than this year. We've already talked about some of them, like fuel. So,
Electricity.
Electricity.
yeah, so, you know, it's not, it would be
But-
nice if it was as simple as that.
So where is the capital area, for instance, on here?
That's not a defaultable number from what I'm told, so you're already,
Where's the line item?
Right here.
So it's
you're
below.
already 9 grand in the hole before, 10 grand in the
Right.
hole before you start.
So if you took the 150,000 that.
No. So it's these numbers, okay? This is what we're a bottom line budget. So these are the numbers that we're dealing with. It's not here and
How about we
here.
have this discussion at our
So
meeting,
this
do a special
number,
meeting if you guys
if
want
we
to
go
discuss
into
it.
a default budget,
We'll vote
which
on
would
it
be 2023 default budget would be this number here total. Okay, so some of the, if you say, well, there's 150 we can get rid of,
It's
well,
in the default budget.
like I said, we've already taken money in the past, we're in the third year of a default budget right now. We have not had an approved budget for, is it 4 years coming up?
But if you,
We're in the third year of a default budget, so this would be the fourth year if it was a default budget. And so if you get an approved budget, then the numbers all adjust themselves in the accounts and stuff, but this is, so that, above the red line, that's the defaultable stuff, right?
No, that's the salaries.
That's what's in the default budget. Or are there other things in there not above that line? I don't know. Well, there must be, because there's numbers down here. So here's the 2023 default budget, so there is more than that. The problem is that in the, so I think those are payroll
Fire. That'd be even better.
above here, so those are,
Moving over there.
like, all
Can't
that
hear 'em
stuff has to be there. I don't think, so that, the default budget is basically what we did last year
if,
with certain increases that are allowed, like
Right, I
they
understand what
allow
the default
increases in
budget is.
payroll.
Chairman Roberts,
Sure.
the point, I think, is that if we bring the people a proposed budget that removes the areas that we keep carrying over in defaults that are no longer needed and that end up getting used on other things that are needed, and we reduce those line items in the proposed budget and increase the line items for the things that we end up using those funds for anyway, then, it's showing the taxpayers, here's where the costs have come down, but these costs are going up, and here's a proposed budget that makes sense.
Yes.
And then everything will default off of that. They're more likely to vote for that budget.
They're just gonna, a lot of people are gonna see though that they see one line gone and
I'm-
they're just gonna be like, oh, well, you don't need
They
it
don't
anyway,
see a
so.
line.
I'm not
though.
saying that.
They don't see
I'm
a
not
line
saying
gone, they
that
see
Senate
a
Bill 2
dollar
makes
amount.
sense. Okay?
I'm not saying it doesn't make
It doesn't
sense.
make sense, but it's, that's the way it is.
Well,
Right, but there's nothing stopping us from bringing a proposed budget that makes it all make sense for everybody, and that what it looks like we're spending on this, we are going to spend on this, and what we didn't spend on that, we don't have that line item anymore, or that much in that line item. It should make sense, it should line up to where it's actually going, you know what I mean?
And it doesn't even mean it has to be
It doesn't even have to be reduced.
reduced.
Right.
It
It's just
has
moving
to
things
make
around to
sense.
be where they're supposed to be. But it probably could be reduced if we look at it, and, you know, there are places where we're carrying over defaults that are no longer applicable because of the way that the department
But
is
there
run
are,
now.
we have to be careful because there's other areas that have increased.
Sure.
That we don't have the
Absolutely.
money to pay that increase if we don't use some of that defaultable money.
This year.
Why can't we
but
put
if
it
we
in the
put it
proposed budget?
proposed budget.
Because if we don't receive an approval on the proposed budget, we're stuck with the default budget, the
And the
way it
default budget
is.
has $150,000 in line items that we're never gonna use.
Right.
So what,
And that would be
so
without,
it's gonna be the exact same thing as what we're doing now. But if we
exactly.
had a proposed budget,
Follow the rules the same way we've done it for years.
Yeah,
We get sued over it too, and they forms. How we try to
Follow
do
the
it.
rules. No one's talking about breaking rules.
right, what rules are being broken? We're just proposing a budget.
I make a motion that we have a special meeting to discuss the budget before Monday. I don't know when.
What
I mean,
time,
whatever day. You wanna do Saturday mornings, cup of coffee, cup of joe?
what time is the
I don't have,
presentation Monday?
Bringing the
I don't
donuts?
know.
what time is the presentation on Monday?
I haven't set Monday's agenda yet.
Okay. It would probably be best if we can to have the finance director here.
She's not coming Saturday morning.
No, I know
I was just
that.
making
I
a
know
joke.
that.
I have no idea what her schedule is. She's not here Thursdays.
Okay.
Monday? Early in the day? Before that meeting?
It's not the last, it's not, I mean,
I have to check the calendar and see if I have anything on there. I got all kinds of doctor's appointments for my relatives.
I don't know.
Monday's not the end all.
Oh, this is Monday. Wait a minute, this is Monday.
Monday's
Can-
just a preliminary. We still have several more budgets to do. We'll probably have second more rounds. Just saying. It's
Okay.
discouraging that we're at this point, that
Hmm.
we're just seeing it now.
So how much time do we have?
Tonight?
No,
None.
Not much.
get the budget in. I'm just,
I'm on my last nerve.
no, I'm sorry. Okay,
I've been here since,
okay. All right, so this is Monday. I was thinking it was the end of the week for some reason.
I'm just saying, you
Can-
can present what you got, doesn't mean it's gonna be etched in stone, because we then have to meet with
Okay.
everybody else,
Okay.
and we pull it together and we
right.
massage it and see what's affordable. We may have to go back and say, cut, cut, cut.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is the first time around. I think everybody should get a copy,
yes,
and you should look at it. Let him move forward for the way that the schedule's playing out. And then, we don't finalize till the end of December.
Okay.
But then we have to look at everything from top to bottom to see what it is.
I think we should still probably schedule a special meeting just for the budget,
I do
but
too.
just not
But
on,
that-
under the gun.
But after
So
we've
much.
all had a chance to look at it and
Yeah.
play around with it. and-
Okay, I'm not available pretty much next week. And,
Okay.
yeah, I know,
Next week, really, Thanksgiving?
yeah.
We could plan for, we could plan for a really long meeting in early December.
Christmas time.
Early December,
Well,
December 3rd.
I think in general we should.
So we had a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I'm gonna disregard that then.
You made the motion?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna withdraw
You're
it.
gonna withdraw that? All right.
Destroy it, whatever it's called.
You can withdraw it.
I'll withdraw it.
Okay.
I do think we should have meetings, right? It's budget season, we still have to talk about the chief thing. I think that we should have meetings every other week.
All right. I mean, I think that we should make an attempt to probably have the finance director there to explain it much better than I can, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's plan a meeting.
So,
for the budget.
Let's say from here to,
can
We're
we,
meeting every other week, right?
We're
can,
meeting first and third.
what,
And third.
so, so her schedule would be, she's out, you don't know when she's here this week, or,
She's here Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then next week she's here just Monday, Tuesday, then she's leaving.
how about,
There's someone in the conference room on Thursday.
okay, how about Friday? Would that be good, but during her work hours?
This coming Friday?
Yeah.
Who can be here during?
I don't know, I'm throwing something, I'm trying to start something here.
I mean, she'll be wherever she's asked.
what time? Cause I got,
Friday
two
is
big
tough.
jobs I'm doing.
I'm just gonna tell you, she has to do payroll and payables.
Okay,
Friday's hard for her.
and Thursdays, she's not here.
She's not here Thursday.
I can't be here Wednesday.
Mondays,
I
I mean, if you
can't do
just-
Monday.
end of a Monday.
You could do, or just keep it on Monday. That's what we're all used to, is Monday. It may, as Leah had said, it may be December. Because everybody's doing one initial presentation. Selectmen are just like you guys, looking at it for the first time. They don't see it the first time. They gotta
Okay.
read it and look at it under advisement as well. So.
All right, let's,
So you can
Wanna do
schedule the
December
regular meeting
5th?
in December, but maybe limit your other topics and just do your budget.
we got,
That's a good idea.
no, that, yeah, for sure.
Chief, though, we
well,
really need
yeah,
to.
we gotta, like, it's, at least post the job for the chief. We need to really
Okay,
kinda get that ball rolling too.
all right, so we'll try to put something together for, December's 1st is on like the Wednesday or Thursday?
We're gonna wait till
It's a
December
Thursday.
1st.
Okay, so,
Our meeting would be the 12th,
yeah,
but maybe we should meet on the 5th, too.
Right, we do the 5th and the 12th.
That would be with us with budgets. We've got budgets on the 5th and the 19th.
Okay.
all right, let's look into that. I gotta check my schedule, because it's
The first is
pretty,
Thursday.
are you talking about in the evening, or,
So I was talking.
What
about
if we-
regular meeting.
okay?
Yeah, what if
Oh,
we
okay.
just start the meeting earlier on Monday, the 12th? You know, expect it to start at 5 instead of 6, and then hopefully Beth can join us and we can, you know,
Here until 5.
prioritize the budget.
Okay, does that work for everybody? If we can make that happen. All right, just have to double check the calendar, but I'll see what I can do. All right, so we all set on that?
Is it still old business?
Manifest.
Anything else, chief?
Well, I got quite a list, so.
All right, let's go.
All right, so I'll just let you know what I've been doing, and some of the other stuff that was kind of hanging out there. We've got some foster care inspections going on, been working with, is it Katie in the building department? Yeah, Katie, we're gonna kind of tag team those, so they're not having repeat visitors. So those are, there's 3 of those going on right now. Patriot Holdings, the mini storage up on
Concord
Concord
Stage.
Stage. That was, it was sent to the fire marshal's office, and we didn't get a lot back from them. We got some correspondence back. We shipped that off to, or I shipped it off to the folks down at, that were doing their land stuff, the PE there.
Oh, yep.
So, a little bit back and forth with them, and then I met with him, and basically told them that I had 3 concerns: the turnaround, the water supply, and then the access between the buildings. In a nutshell, that's all been taken care of. We got a turnaround, we've got a proposed 30,000-gallon cistern, and their access into the place and out the gate, we'll have access to that as well. So all 3 of those things that that I had concerns with are have been taken care of. We talked about budget, the capital stuff. I've been trying to get quotes for trucks and bodies and snowplows, and it's almost impossible. So I threw a number out there, which I got a fairly good number from Hillsborough Dodge. I'm not sure right now who the contract is with, I mean, the bid is, state bid is, whether it's Dodge or whether it's Chevy, but we'll obviously try to buy a state bid vehicle. And then go from there. So that item for 2023 was submitted at $105,000, because they said about 85 for the truck, I'm thinking 20 for the body, and then some lighting and striping and stuff, so. Still outstanding on the pump test, they're just busy. You know, it's getting that time of year where I don't like to be out pumping, but if that happens, it happens. So I've been trying.
Didn't one of their trailers get smoked?
One of their trailers got run into and totaled, yeah. So instead of them doing 2 towns a day or 4 towns a day, they're only doing 1 or 2. Radio quote, I don't think that's gonna be an issue now, because if we decide to go with just to use our same radio that we got now, they can install that at the vendor, the dealer for the ambulance. We discovered that all our air bottles were out of hydro test, so we had those done. They were $35 a piece. We had like 50 of them, 52 of them. So those have been taken care of. We posted the admin's job. It looks like that may be completely vacant, maybe this week or next week. So we're gonna have to get somebody in place for that. A thing that's a little bit frustrating is nobody around here will service our air packs, so we have to keep sending them to Utah for our annual flow test. So they're all over the place. We're sending like 2, 3, 4 of them at a time. So that kind of revolves around Friday. I'm going to a seminar on the Fire Act grant to see if we even kind of fit the bill to get them completely replaced. So that's something I'll be doing Friday.
That's good.
We've had good luck with capital so far. They've been very receptive to some of the things that we've talked to them about. I'm probably into my 5th meeting with them now, and they're pretty excited to have us on board. So, and I talked about the air bottles, so that's null and void.
All right,
Thank you.
Just
anything else?
keep them busy, that's all.
Okay. All right, that actually was kind of new business, still under old business. We got to talk about the fire chief's hiring thing. One thing that I wanted to say is you've made it pretty clear that you wanted the job, and so I would ask you to not be involved in any discussions on that, okay? I know that, I just don't want the conflicts. I know the last meeting, Louisa asked you if the job could be done in 25 hours or less, and so you said yes. And I believe that, you know, we shouldn't be involved in stuff like that, so I would ask that you not participate in that discussion.
Yeah, I find that
I
inappropriate.
asked because, I mean, Chief, how long have you been in town? Your entire life?
Yeah,
How long have you been on the department?
42.
42 years. I mean, I still
His
think he
cup
should
or
be,
Yeah,
I still think he should be a part of it. I think he does bring a wealth of knowledge
I do too.
from
I agree.
the history, the town aspects.
Just the perspective of having been doing it for the last
Yeah.
5 months.
I understand your side of the conflict of interest.
I'll check with a lawyer.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
I think that, you know, that, what we voted on, is directly related to, you know, what works for him, if he should get the job.
I don't think that
Disagree.
the people that voted that time to, instead of pursuing full-time and going with a part-time chief, I don't think it was directly 100% influenced
No.
by what Chief Richards had to say. Right? So let's.
Okay.
Certainly not by
Let's
his
kinda
desire
look.
for the job, but certainly by his
Okay,
experience.
well, we need to be above board. If I was wrong, I will apologize. But I believe that that is a conflict of interest.
So all it prevents him from doing is voting, not
Right.
participating
Input
in the
is-
discussion.
Well, that's a question.
He could voluntarily recuse himself, but
I believe that's the right thing to do, if you do have a conflict with that. Because you should not be influencing the discussion or the vote from somebody else.
Yeah, but then that goes
Okay,
half of our.
so we'll
board.
do that. So we'll do that. Let's move on. Okay?
We'll do what?
Yeah.
As far as input, I think his input is much needed for experience.
Okay, I'm
As
gonna
far
a-
as
I'm gonna ask
voting,
the- I'm
I
I'm
would
going to
say
give
no.
an
Ask the
example
question.
from the legislature. We have committees of experts on all different material and subject matter, and bills come through that may impact you one way or another more than the average member of the committee. You still also have unique knowledge and can contribute to the discussion, and no one ever asks you to recuse yourself from the discussion. But if you feel you have a conflict of interest, you abstain from voting.
That's what I would do, is not be involved in the discussion. But
But if
that's,
you could put in like a, hey, we should do this, we should, put this in the listing, or
So we're gonna-
whatever, just a hypothetical, right? I think you should be able to do that, just throw in his haze and
All the years
not
he's been
vote,
in here,
but
should have some input.
Right. He's been running the,
I'm
he's been running
gonna,
the.
all right, I'll ask the question.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we're doing it right. It's nothing personal, it's just, we need to be doing things right.
Yeah.
and I don't know if you want to check with the legality of it.
Yes, I am,
That's
because
fine.
it's
That's
my
what,
You could vote to
responsibility.
censure him
It's my responsibility,
as a board,
so,
but that's
all right, so,
otherwise First Amendment.
I've been working on moving forward, the fire chief, everybody got the job description, correct?
Thank you.
Does anybody need to see it? Does
I would
anybody
like
need
to
to
take
see
a
it?
look, yes. I did see it, I just want to review.
Do you need one? Dave?
Well, if you're passing them out, I've got
This
one.
is, this was what
Actually have one.
Naomi came up with. And, so this is what we had on file.
I do have two.
I believe that this one, it doesn't have a date on it, and I believe that, so in 2000, I think it was 2018, we, at the chief's request, entered into contract negotiations with him, and
Oh, there we go.
we ended up
It's your pages.
agreeing not to go forward with actually doing a contract, but keeping him as an employee. But in doing that, we did kind of summarize through our negotiations a job description, if you call it. I believe that could be this, but I'm not 100% sure. But it certainly is, because you asked for a job description that we had on file. So that's what we came up with. So I've come up with, actually, I take that back. Naomi graciously today typed this advertisement for us. And we use this job description to do that, and I thank her very much for doing that at the very last minute.
One,
But for you to look at, to see if you want to go forward with that. I also,
12K call.
I met with a person that I know who works for a private company. And we discussed getting people, if we needed to, we discussed getting people to participate on a board.
I think that all of us should not be on the original board.
So, we talked about the process that we followed last time, and that's what the board voted for me to pursue setting up. I just want to say on the last one, I participated in that hiring board. I will not participate in this one. I think it's best to stay separated from that. So I can facilitate it, if that's what this board wants me to do, but I will not actually sit on it. But I'm going to try to line up people that hopefully are, I know it's a small state, but if we go a little bit outside of our area, it's going to be less likely that somebody knows somebody, but I want to try to have enough people so that we can minimize any issues with that. So I have about 3 people that I'm pretty certain would be good on the board and that would be willing to serve. Like to go
How
with.
many people do you want on the board?
Like to go with 5 if possible. 3 would be the minimum, but,
I served on
I
it
think
the
we
last
should-
time.
yeah.
I mean, you said you know 3 people.
Well, I have 3 people that I think would be good and 3 people that would be possibly willing. I have to just double check on it.
Okay. Well, my thing is I want like a tool, I guess, for that initial, right? Because eventually everything's going to come down to us, right? And us as a board collectively, correct?
So we voted to do the process in that we'll have a board
Yep.
made up of probably 2 to 3 people that will look at their resumes, application, et cetera, and determine qualifications, and then submit a list of people to move forward to the interviews.
Before who?
Before that,
Smaller?
hopefully 5-member
Okay.
board, and they'll have
And then go for
a process of interview as well as possibly a presentation, an exercise, like a practical thing to do, included with that interview time. And then they would recommend the top, their top recommendations would go to this board for a final interview to be selected.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? I also met with a fire marshal on that subject because he's in the know on a lot of, he's in the know with all the fire departments, basically. He knows the dynamics, what's going on. And so he gave me some pointers and also, offered staff if we needed somebody from his office to come participate as well.
I don't think it should all just be put on you, though, to set up the board and everything. I think that should be a kind of a collective thing of a couple of us, you know what I mean? So that way it's not all on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah?
To ease up some, I know we had a...
All right, go out and get me a couple fire chiefs.
Hey, I
that
will.
preferably are in the same size department that we have
Absolutely.
and do an EMS. 'Cause that's
Absolutely.
what we need, so.
I will find you some.
Well, it's in the works, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
No, but,
I got some
you know what I
things that
mean?
you can help with.
That
Okay.
goes with anybody here, you know what I mean? If you get something that you're working on, need help with, I'm more than happy to help, you know what I mean?
So,
Minus finances, Louisa's got that, down,
all right,
so,
so
count.
Does anybody have anything on the advertisement?
Just grammar.
Okay,
Everything else is fine. Salary range, it's not a range, it's a dollar amount, right? So strike range. Would it be paid call staff or call paid staff?
Is there only 12 in the
well,
thing, or should we just say
I
a
kind
call
of-
department?
There's
kind
not
of-
12.
what's that?
I mean, if you're looking at who is still on the roster, you might have 12.
I would just say call group. I definitely like the 8 full-time. I keep that, but
Well, I mean, I was told that we had a roster of about 25. So it is, and
I don't know.
active, there's been some numbers thrown out. I didn't know if that was a decent, that's a good number to shoot for, right? 12 active people.
I'm just gonna pass this back to you with my suggested, it's just grammar.
Okay.
That's literally all it is.
Okay,
It's just two
Yep.
things, and that's
Yep.
it.
all right.
I'm
There was, yeah, okay, I understand.
That's all. Other than that, I think it's on point.
Okay, anybody else?
5 years in a super capacity.
So we looked at trying to get it done as soon as possible, but with Thanksgiving coming up, getting it out as best as we can. We thought that Monday, December 19th might be a good day for the deadline to be, with Thanksgiving, it seems like a little ways off, but it's really not if you
Yeah,
take,
it's pretty close. It's
We're-
only like a month.
yeah,
For the deadline for what?
for applications to be submitted.
Oh, okay.
And so and also Naomi also graciously, and I thank you very much, agreed to accept the applications for us. So,
Do you think we should, is there a reason why
Enhance.
budgetary that we couldn't like extend it to January 1st? Just to be, because we got the holidays, right?
well, that's why we're going out a month. It's over a month from today. And if we can get it out pretty quickly, that should be sufficient time. Hopefully, people, have a lot of that stuff ready to go, so,
Yeah, they're probably
if they
currently
can't
working.
get it in time, then maybe that
Well, I was just saying with the
is a
holidays.
step in the process.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have any applicants, we can always go
It's-
back
yeah.
and,
If we don't,
eBay.
yeah. So,
Everybody does that stuff.
so if that's okay with everybody, we'll go ahead and put that out. Trying to follow, getting going as soon as we can. And I don't want to, if we're good, we don't need to belabor that tonight. I know it's getting late, so,
yeah,
all right?
yep.
All right, next is approval of minutes. So I have I passed them out from October 10th. I have not had time to complete the review of the September minutes yet. I'm almost there, but I couldn't quite finish it today.
Okay.
I apologize for that. I know that it's difficult to do the minutes, and I did have trouble hearing on the tape and stuff, as I'm sure you did. But it's 10 pages, and so,
I was just copying the way Naomi does it for the selectmen.
yeah, so, it's a lot to go through, and I apologize for that, but I just couldn't quite finish it today with the time that we had.
Sure.
So that had been tabled, so it still remains on the table. This is the one from the last meeting, if you want to take a look at that. The only thing that's different from the ones I posted is when I went to print it today, I did not put submitted by Steve Roberts at the end when I first posted it as a draft. So I did change that on the copies that you guys have. If somebody wants to, if you're okay with the rest of it, if you want to note that addition to the posted minutes.
Sure, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes from the October 10th, 2022 meeting of the Board of Fire Wards, with the additional language of submitted by Steve Roberts at the bottom.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Do we have any questions or discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 6-0-0. All right, then we have the manifest. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the fire department's accounts payable manifest for checks dated 11/17/2022 in the amount of $87,000, $87,344.52.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain. So motion carries 6-0-0. All right. And I do have an administrative report. Did you cover what you needed to cover in the new business? Okay. And I don't have anything else on there.
Can we just vote to allow me to sign the contract for the ambulance? Because I don't know if that, I think we should do that.
Okay,
Or get it signed.
okay. Did we do that before?
Nailed
I
it?
thought we authorized you to sign something.
I mean, technically, either this.
Was that the preliminary plans?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the final,
This is the final,
okay.
with that new
All right.
number.
Somebody want to make that motion?
Make a motion to
Authorize?
authorize,
Wha- The,
Well, the selectmen are gonna sign the contract. It's just me getting it done, that's all.
Bob Richards.
that Bob Richards can, I don't know, I don't know how to word it.
Finalist
you're
contract.
wait a minute, hold on. So you're presenting the contract to the selectmen
Yes.
to sign. So we authorize the acting chief, Bob
Acting
Richards,
Chief Bob
to,
Richards to go to the selectmen and get the
Second.
contract signed.
there you go.
I didn't know where we were going.
Made and Dave's, it's made and Dave seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 6-0-0. That's it? Does anybody else have anything to bring up tonight?
Make a motion to close.
You have a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting.
I will second it.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
2010.
What do you need?
Just wait a minute.
Okay.
2011.